Have you ever wondered why some memories just stick? The ones that never seem to fade, no matter how much time passes. It's a feeling we all know. But what if the best way to understand it wasn't through psychology, but through math? Today, we're diving into the asymptotes of memory.
It really is like an echo, isn't it? A feeling, a face, a moment from the past that just keeps resonating long after it's gone. It's this universal human thing, this lingering of what once was. And it makes you ask a really big question.
So why is that? Seriously, why do some memories just refuse to go away, even when we feel like we've totally moved on?
It's this exact feeling. You're standing there. The world is moving on around you, but you're caught in this single moment. The memory feels like it's a million miles away, but at the same time, the emotion of it is right here, right now. It's this strange paradox of being both distant and so present. Okay, so to really get our heads around this feeling, we're going to borrow a lens from an unexpected place. We're stepping away from psychology for a second and into the world of pure mathematics. We're talking about real analysis.
I know. It sounds a little strange, right? Applying a field that deals with infinity and tiny numbers to something as messy and human as our feelings. But you gotta trust me on this. Real analysis actually gives us the perfect, almost poetic language for this exact experience. It all starts with this one core idea from calculus, the limit. The easiest way to think of a limit is like a boundary. It's a value that a function can get infinitely, ridiculously close to, but the whole point is that it never, ever actually reaches it. Think of it like this. You're walking down a path towards a wall. With every single step you take, you cover half the remaining distance. So you get closer and closer and even closer, but you'll never technically touch the wall. That wall, that's your limit. And this idea, this concept of approaching but never quite reaching, well, that's the key to everything. It leads us straight to this central metaphor for our own emotional journey, what we're calling the asymptote of closure. So here it is. This is the big idea for this whole explainer. The closure that we're all looking for after a big life-changing experience, it isn't some final destination we arrive at, it's an asymptote. So what on earth is an asymptote? Well, it's basically a line that a curve gets closer and closer to. As that curve shoots off towards infinity, it cozies up right next to that line, almost like it's being guided by it. But the absolute rule is that it can never, ever touch it. And this process, well, it lines up perfectly with our emotional experience. Look at step 1. You move forward in time. That's your curve heading off to infinity. Step 2, the emotional punch of the memory gets a little softer. The distance between your path and that baseline of zero feeling gets smaller. And as you see in steps 3 and 4, that distance keeps shrinking, getting tinier and tinier. But mathematically, it never actually hits zero. There's always a gap, no matter how small. This graph is just the perfect picture of it. Think of that flat horizontal line, the x-axis, as the line of total forgetting, right? Zero emotional impact. The curve, well, that's your life's journey over time. You can see your path gets incredibly close to that line of forgetting, but it never ever makes contact. You approach closure, but you never actually get there in a final, absolute way. So what does this all mean for us? Is this just a sad, depressing idea? That we're doomed to never get over things? Not at all. In fact, this is where the math starts to get really, really beautiful. The great poet Bashir Badr just captured this feeling perfectly. This beautiful line translates to, "Let the light of your memories remain with us." It's not about begging to forget, it's about accepting what's left behind. So how does this connect back to our math problem? And here's where it all clicks together. You know that tiny little non-zero gap that always exists between your life's path and that line of forgetting? That is the light of the memory that Badger is talking about. It's the part that sticks around, that endures, even when you've traveled an infinite distance away from the event itself. And it doesn't have to be pain. It can be warmth, a lesson, or just, a light. So you see, this whole idea completely reframes how we think about moving on. It's not about trying to solve some problem. Maybe we've been looking at this all wrong. These really powerful memories, they aren't problems in an equation that we need to somehow solve for zero. They are fundamental variables. They define the equation itself. You can't just cancel them out, because if you did, the entire equation of your life would be something completely different. So let's just pull this all together. First, remember that closure isn't a place you arrive at. It's a journey that just gets closer and closer.
Second, those powerful memories, they're not baggage. They're the core variables that define the whole equation of who you are. And finally, maybe just appreciate that sometimes the most elegant and beautiful language for our deepest feelings doesn't come from a poem, but from the pure logic of mathematics.
And that brings us to a final thought. Instead of asking how we can erase parts of our past, maybe the better question to ask ourselves is this: what are the beautiful, uncancelable constants that define the unique equation of you?